Hi everyone, it's Andy from The Foolish Couple, co-founder of the Foco Academy, nutrition specialists and success coaches. We focus on teaching Jack Canfield's success principles and applying the three principles of life that money can't buy. That is health, time, and love relationships. Today we're chatting with Sandra Olszowka from Foco Functional Wellness. We're both functional nutritional practitioners and our respective practices are very complementary to each other. We've been friends for a while now, but this is the first time that we do a formal interview of you. So Sandra, it's great to be chatting with you today.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, Andy. And for sure, it's lovely talking with you as well. I live in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, in between Toronto and Montreal. And it's always wonderful when Andy and I chat because I get a wonderful glimpse into California weather, which really comes in handy in the middle of a snowstorm.
That's great, Sandra. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, of how your focus in life became so involved with functional wellness?
Well, I've always had a focus on my health and an interest in general about my health. And early in high school, I worked in a health food store and later became a vegetarian, which didn't actually work out all that well for me. So I actually eat meat now, but certainly this is where bioindividuality comes in, where different dietary protocols are suitable for different people. But my studies and opening up my practice in functional nutrition and wellness really resulted from an intense desire that I have to help people to make their journeys more straightforward and to take more time to focus on themselves, but less time to come to a solution and to hopefully for their experience to be less frustrating than mine, because I had a really long journey and convoluted journey to getting diagnosed. And to even when I did get a diagnosis finally, it was because I had to request certain blood tests to look at antibodies, and that was based on research that I was doing. So for me, this unfolded over many years, and all the while I had a zillion symptoms, and it was frustrating, and I was going in circles instead of moving forward with better health. And I have two autoimmune conditions, including Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and it was especially frustrating as well when I had a specialist telling me that it actually didn't even matter to know whether or not I had an autoimmune condition because it was irrelevant, because there's no treatment for it. Yeah, absolutely. And that it will only get worse, and that I just really needed to get used to the fact that I had the diagnosis and that I needed to learn how to live with it. And from my perspective, and from as we are functional practitioners, it's really unfortunate to have that information, because through dietary and lifestyle changes, you can make a huge impact with how autoimmune conditions play out. And to let autoimmune conditions continue unchecked is very concerning, because it means that you have systemic inflammation involved with autoimmune conditions, and it causes continued and needless suffering. And it really sets the stage for potentially developing more or even more serious conditions. And so, of course, this is where the value of functional medicine and functional health and functional nutrition comes into play.
That's great that you mentioned on functional health, because the whole functional aspect is central to both what we do. How would you best describe it?
That's a good question. And I think it's great to talk about this, because functional health, functional wellness, and functional nutrition really means something very important. And it's directly related to making a distinctive difference in how we help people. We don't treat disease. We don't treat a condition. And the important distinction of what we do versus other approaches to wellness is that we peel the onion, so to speak, because we look at the factors, absolutely, that are behind somebody getting a condition. And it's not about suppressing symptoms with medication or treatments, because this is what happens in allopathic or regular medicine so that people can live more comfortably. But the disease is still there, and it may continue continue to progress because what is fueling it is just not addressed or removed. And with functional wellness, we remove the factors that even led to the condition or the disease itself. Meaning that the hope is that the symptom goes away, that the joint pain, the heartburn, the brain fog, the intestinal upset, whatever it may be, that these go away so that there's no longer ongoing chronic pain. And the result is that a person lives a better life.
That's for sure. We absolutely are all about looking at the underlying causes for anything and everything. And we know the critical effect that inflammation has on the human body. So what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, for sure. And the reality is that the longer someone has inflammation, known as chronic inflammation, then the more likely it is that they will go on to develop some type of disease or disorder. And in fact, inflammation is linked to diseases such as cancer. And for instance, by some research, up to 20% or more cancers are seen as having a direct link to inflammation.
Wow.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to also include in that list, because sadly there is a big list. You have to add asthma and allergies and diabetes and heart disease, arthritis and Hashimoto's thyroiditis and other autoimmune disorders in general. And some studies show that people can have chronic inflammation for a number of years prior to even being diagnosed.
Wow.
And for sure, and you know, this is where the importance of food and lifestyle choices like stress and exercise and sleep come into play. Because in terms of food, the best way to look at food is that it is powerful. That there are foods that harm people on a couple of different levels, either through food sensitivities or allergies, overall creating immune responses and inflammation. But then there are also foods that heal and rebalance the body.
Of course.
And again, this is where the bioindividuality comes into play because it has a role here, because what is harmful to one person may be beneficial or at least neutral to another. And this is played out as simply as being at a dinner table where two people eat a spicy meal and one person walks away thinking that was incredible. And then the other person gets heartburn, they can't sleep, they have intestinal problems for hours.
Yes, bioindividuality is what's so important behind what we do. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach because it's clear that each of us have our own biological strengths and susceptibilities. There's my English going off on me. You have a look for a moment about people in your practice. Based on your experiences, what would be a misconception people may have about your healing?
Yes. Well, that's a good question. And certainly there are misconceptions. But one of the main ones would definitely have to be the role that people themselves think that they can play in making themselves better. Many people believe that their fate is sealed, about their health, that by genetics or other factors, and that there's really nothing that they can do to change it. But it's really important to know that genetics determines only about 30% of a person's health, which means that the remaining 70%, which is a huge number, is directly influenceable by the decisions that a person makes, decisions about what they eat and what lifestyle factors like stress and sleeping and exercise. And this is where we come in as functional wellness practitioners, because we're able to identify those bio-individual elements specific to each person that will help them optimize their wellness journey and help strengthen and rebalance their bodies.
Awesome.
And for sure, and this is also where we come in, because we help a person identify a person's most direct route to wellness, so that it's not this long, drawn out, convoluted process of unknowns and dead ends.
For sure. It's always exciting when we make such important differences in people's lives and in their well-being, right? It's interesting that you talk about people's personal wellness journeys. What are some finds that you can share about what you find about people's health in your clinic?
That's also a very good question. I think there's probably two things that stand out about that. And the first relates to an intriguing discovery that I made where almost everyone in my clinics has the exact same number one nutritional deficiency. And it's an essential fatty acid deficiency, EFA. And essential fatty acids, they're an unsaturated fatty acid that's essential to health that cannot be manufactured in the body. So what this means is that it must be ingested either by food and or supplement in order to get this nutrient.
Mhm.
And so what's really so interesting is that it gives insight into the diets that we're all eating and the quality of the food that we're eating when so many people have the exact same deficiency. And again, when I look at all their deficiencies, this is the one ranked number one. And for detail, EFAs are cold pressed fish, found in cold pressed fish, cold water, and certain seeds. And probably the second item, I think, reflects some of the wonderful success stories that I have at my clinic. One was a big health turnaround I had with somebody who was experiencing IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, daily. They had symptoms daily for many, many years, and full-on symptoms. And it was certainly disruptive to their life. And there was a major diet and lifestyle overhaul that they underwent. And I had added some supplemental assistance for them that's particularly powerful in helping them, like bromelain and pre and probiotics and bone broth. And wonderfully, the person is now symptom-free. And it made a huge difference in their life and in their quality of life. So it really is exciting because it illustrates the power of using a functional health approach.
Of course, yes. I had IBS for many years too in my past, and that must have been a great relief for the person to be able to reclaim so much of their life. Yeah. So thanks, Sandra, for a visit today. It's so great to share our work with everyone and our approach to healing.
Oh, thanks, Andy. It was really wonderful talking with you today. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'd like to share a great announcement. We're collaborating on a very exciting program together called Health is a New Normal. We've created a new Facebook page, and you can find it in the comments below. We're going to kick it off with a 4-part series on what makes people vulnerable to illnesses, all the different factors. We feel that this is a very timely and important and useful topic because this really is the time to ensure that our bodies are as strong as possible. We're not looking at only the factors, but also providing solutions. Our first topic is about what we eat, all about food. So we'll be looking at how food can make us ill. And again, we'll look at some real action items about how not to only minimize making us sick, but to actually strengthen our bodies and, of course, our immune system. Each Friday, we'll be releasing an episode starting on August 7th at 1 p.m. Pacific. And of course, it's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be available to answer any questions live right after. We're very much looking forward to this and to seeing everyone there. Join us at our new page, Health is a New Normal now. Thanks for tuning in today, everyone. Stay well. Bye for now. And I'm Andy.
I'm Sandra.
And we'll see you soon on August 7th.